comes down to Arcadian and what pick Arcadian goes with. I know Rygon is a very comfortable pick for him, but Rygon just has not really worked in this matchup against Space Station Gaming.
They really enjoyed the extra burst of Rukon. You can see the extra burst damage went a really long way with those fully charged Sinister Strikes. When he was able to just delete somebody, that made big value, and oftentimes that was how they were finding their kills.
So we're seeing these restrictions coming out for map number 4, and it's same old story, same old song and dance. Rook coming out against SIGH. They do not want Arcadian on Rook, and Iva, again, after map 1, they will refuse to have a verse on Iva ever again.
The Rook's interesting, because that wasn't what was played last, so Space Station are planning on, I guess, again playing this Paloma because they don't want Rushdown against it.
Now I don't know who's gonna play what. Y'all throwing me nothing.
A versus on Paloma.
It's like a boomerang that just keeps going forward. It never comes back to me. I don't know what's gonna happen.
That's called a
Where
frisbee.
did it go? No, a boomerang.
Yeah, but a frisbee.
I don't expect a frisbee to come back to me.
You can.
If I throw a boomerang, I expect it to come back.
Can throw frisbee.
Whereas this is a boomerang that never came back to me. But Jumong, again, unimportant, has had a solid Jumong in the last 2 maps. So.
And I'm interested to see if... Oh, yes, they are. This is a complete run back. I told you they tilt, Jorvy.
They're like, look, we know we can win with this comp. And if I see a verse on Thorn again, look.
I told you they tilt, Jorvy.
They might not be tilting. They just want to force the issue, which is fine. But we see Rukon coming out again. Arcadian had a really solid one. I like that they're like, look, this worked for us, so let's do it again. I feel comfortable on this pick. Let's go with it. Who do they restrict now? Who do they restrict? You got support left, and Lucy's gone. That's actually a really good restriction there. And then Varesh again.
This is almost exactly
I feel like we're on map 3.
And if, hey, the results from map 3, now obviously, or maybe, I shouldn't say obviously, because who knows, but Space Station Gaming will be kind of resetting the roles. And if there is going to be a change, it is going to be this 3rd pick. I'm
just waiting with bated breath.
I think...
What are you going to pick?
If a verse is playing ranged, he's maybe going to look for something with a
little
bit more mobility.
I want to know, because we're on Dragon Garden Night, all right?
Oh!
Yeah.
We're getting deep into the BO5. The fun maps are coming out.
The fun maps are coming. We've actually seen a lot of Dragon Knight this season. Players have liked it. So obviously a lot today has been Mount Araz. We've seen Mount Araz today, but during the season there's been a lot of Dragon Knight.
That's good to see, and I want to say that that's another instance where we're not going to see so much Jumong here, because Jumong very much benefits from being able to dodge around walls, being able to kite around objects.
Yeah.
Dragon Knight doesn't have so much of that. It's got those 2 big walls, and then everything else is just wide open battlefield. Yeah,
absolutely. And you know what would have been a great pick on a Dragon Knight map? I like Bako.
You do?
I love Bako. He's great. The 3rd pick coming through, and we see Jumong.
It is just a run back. Okay.
And Paloma, so we literally have a repeat of map number 3. But who's going to be playing what on Space Station Gaming? I don't know. Let's find out.
I think this resets to default roles.
Do you?
Yes.
I think Proster plays Paloma, but I think a verse will go on to Jumong.
Do you think that makes enough of a difference?
I think it does. I think a versus Jumong in map number 2 was the difference for them to win that game. And I think a verse, if a verse is going to play Thorn again, I just want to see him be a little more choosy about how he's picking his battles, because he found himself in really unfavorable positions a lot of times and really trying to aggress with Burrow, which you can absolutely do as Thorn, but in putting yourself kind of out of position and your team doesn't have any kind of ability to follow up with you, and he would get a lot of damage off and then think, I can just stay in this fight. He would just stay too long.
Yes.
And that would be the problem. So.
And I think much of that is as well about the team play. Like you said, or like I said, I'm citing myself, it wasn't so much always the mechanical mistakes. Averse maybe getting a bit over aggressive was one, but it was a case of just not being as comfortable with the team play of that situation. Maybe your normal Thorn player wouldn't hard engage there, but Averse would. So here, I assume this is a reset. I'm waiting with bated breath.
Well, I just want to say the names. I want to know who's playing what. It'll be funny, but we're on the beautiful, beautiful Dragon Garden Night.
It is one of the prettiest maps in the game.
It is so pretty.
King Ormond's pretty.
Look at those lights. I want those lights, like those. I want those.
House?
No one can see me pointing, but they know. You know what I'm talking about. It's the only
big
lights.
Glowy orange
The
ones.
big glowy things hanging up onto the walls of the ceiling.
They exist.
They do exist, and you can buy them. They're probably more money than I want to spend.
get them at IKEA. Pretty cheap there.
Oh, well, all right. Guess I'm going to IKEA after the broadcast.
I was in IKEA the other day. That's how I know these things.
All right, well, map number 4, Space Station. Again, have some buffer room. We see Bloom on Paloma, Averse on Jumong,
Full
and
reset.
Roaster on Thorn. So no more messing around. And SIGH, you know, it's the same as you would have bet. Arcadian
Okay.
on Rukon, and they're going to pull through.
Does this change things? Is it composition or just the players they have on the characters that made that last round happen?
Proster loves Thorn, and he's really good on Thorn, so I definitely expect it to be a little bit different than what we saw in the last game, but he's getting a lot of damage put onto him. Others siding out, but he doesn't want to leave the fight. He wants to keep pressure on Unimportant, but he takes damage instead. They didn't do any damage to Arcadian.
Space Station are being destroyed.
They are getting dominated right now.
This is insane. Bloom's already gone. Just a hard engage coming through. He has no answer to the Rukon ult, and already you can see low HP on Proster as well.
Pulls him through. Proster is going to go down and push through, so SIGH starts things off with a bang, literally.
That is an insane change of pace, because even the round's last map were not that dominant. They had to fight for every inch.
Yeah, and even for Proster on there, again, an aggressive Thorn, staying a little too long, thinking you have an advantage, but then Bloom got just annihilated in the back line, and then they couldn't recover off of it. So, you know, reset, it's all right. They've lost a few to SIGH for Space Station, but for SIGH, man, just keep the pedal, keep rolling, because right now you look strong.
Keep the pedal to the metal, because they're absolutely on the right track, and you can see again, they just force out a burrow and have the punish on the other side. The second he comes out, there's a trap already waiting, there's a response set up.
Now Space Station want to aggress on this. Averse actually losing this trade to Unimportant. Trying to prowl away from it. Space Station not able to grab the orb. SIGH having the center control. Wanting to get aggressive as Proster. Proster can't find a way, and actually a lot of damage coming out onto Unimportant, who's just taking it from Averse and getting traded out. Dexterian trying to keep him alive. A big stun again, pushing him out, and they can't find a way in. The Ancestral Spirit just going to keep him up. It was forced, got panicked.
That's a forced ult, and they have a solution, and they almost steal that orb. This is not nearly as good for SIGH, but they're still keeping themselves in the round. That's a good other side to force. They have a follow-up.
We actually weren't able to follow up solidly on it, but they do keep Space Station out. Arcadian taking a good bit of damage, a big stun, gonna burrow through, get that kill before the Ancestral Spirit comes out, and Space Station Gaming respond thusly.
Very good from them, finding a steady response to a round one that was dominant. Here they slow down the pace. Say, okay, maybe we can't just run right into you. And manage to just steadily work the round in their favor. One moment at a time, one tiny chunk of damage at a time.
The philosophy is, you know, shifting back for Space Station Gaming. They're like, all right, we really want to play this super aggressive Thorn. It's not working. So the other side comes out to try to bail Proster out, and this time he actually retreats and regroups with his team, and it allows them, they lost the orb in that fight, but it didn't matter. They had all of their abilities up, and they were able to aggress.
Tree conservation.
Yeah.
Changing the game here for Space Station Gaming.
Save the trees.
Only you and forest fires.
Oh, a big root onto Arcadian, and the Rain of Arrows going to get a little more damage out. Oh, the wall is Arcadian's worst enemy Averse. He wants this one-on-one, and Proster did a great job of just separating the rest of his team away from him and allowed all that damage to come out onto Arcadian.
Already such low HP. The response is this. You need to be able to pull in and win a steady trade battle versus the opposing melee, but you can see the shift. Now with Bloom on Paloma, the other sides are perfect.
Oh, and the aggressive Ancestral Spirit comes out, keeps Space Station Gaming up in the face of SIGH, and Paloma can't escape. Dexterian wants to get out. He can't, and Arcadian wants to come in. He's got to get out now. He does, but it's going to be all for naught at this point, unless they can get the trade here. There was some big damage coming out on the Bloom. Bloom in a little bit of trouble with this Rain of Arrows doing massive damage. Has to other side. We're going to keep the pressure up and take out Unimportant, only leaving Arcadian by himself, and Space Station again start the train back up, and we're rolling.
That is more what we expected from this roster. However, again, there are signs of life. I spent the entirety of the first few rounds last time saying this. However, things on that looked good. You could see Bloom get traded down very low. He ended up with no cooldowns. If only there was one more teammate alive, they would have found that kill. I want to see this SIGH side work, and I can see the beginnings of it doing so. It is about dealing with perhaps a more on-point Paloma now that Bloom's playing the role. You can see that support utility constantly perfect to allow Froster to continue playing aggressive.
Oh, and a good pull, early damage onto Proster. We saw some really clutch pulls from Arcadian in map 3. And it's really what won them the game. There's another pull trying to force a verse in. Can't get him a verse with a great kite and gets Space Station, keeps them with advantage here, and they get the first orb. Oh, a verse. Oh, a verse is still going on Dexterian. Big roots onto Dexterian, but he does keep the health pull alive. He can't get that real HP down. And that was great job by Dexterian. Proster, like you said, pushing through. Does he get more damage out onto Unimportant? No.
Proster is consistently too far forward, though. By the time the other side comes through, he's eaten a lot of damage. If they got that orb, this would be an interesting match. With it out, it's basically time.
Yeah. Trying to push through. They get the first thing, and the entangle, double entangle.
Dead Root's
coming out, big damage, and Paloma want to chase right there. They want to force Unimportant out of this fight. Proster going all in on it, just going to M1 into death. Can he do it? Pulls him right. Unimportant's gone. Dexterian can't do anything about it. He's gone, and all is left is Arcadian, and he will go down as well. And Space Station Gaming look in top form.
3-1 the current scoreline, and they are, like you say, in control. It's all about challenging Bloom, I think. If you can get Bloom to spend a little bit more of his defensive utility defensively, instead of just as get-out-of-jail-free cards for Proster's continued unchecked aggression, then you have an opportunity. But without it, Proster's going to live in the middle of your team and build those separations. That Dead Root's ultimate was the nail in the coffin because it separated every single member of the defending side, but it was not the only play from Proster that game that did that.
And so Space Station in another favorable position. The entangle keeping Lucan down. They're actually all going to get pulled forward. Averse trying to push up onto Unimportant. Unimportant taking a lot of damage, burrowing right through. Proster wants the big kills on it that forces the other side out of Dexterian, and that's going to be dangerous for Unimportant, who has to try to shroud his way out of it. He can't do it, and Space Station doing a ton of damage. The Dead Roots comes out. It keeps Arcadian away from his team. Well, the Dead Roots doesn't keep it away from his team, but Arcadian is essentially dead, and going down first was Unimportant, and they got rocked.
That was exactly what they wanted to do. Like you say, the Dead Root's at the perfect time to just guarantee the kill because it builds that separation. It was a bit of a whiff, but it still made it hard to rotate around, get the angle necessary to properly find value there. And it seals the deal for Arcadian. He's off the map. The round's over, basically. And now, this is the win-it-all point for Space Station.
This is where Space Station Gaming has made a statement. We are going to win this game. We're going to win it emphatically. We're going straight to the playoffs. We're done with this decision round. We're going to win it right now and go back and try and get the Season 2 champion title just like they were Season 1 champs. They want it. They're hungry. They want a chance at Beast Hunter, the only team that could beat them. SIGH trying to fight back in this game. If they somehow fight back and win this series, they still have to play another map against Space Station, and Space Station's already putting on pressure. They have orb control.
Stun does come through at range, trying to slow down Blue, find significant damage, but they're really struggling because Proster is once again living, separating their team, creating value, and challenging Arcadian's supports.
Arcadian got his health deleted.
Dead Root!
Oh, and he just got other stuff.
Look at this separation!
Keep it away. The Ancestral Spirits tries to get it away. Ancestral Spirits in response for Space Station. Dexterian, all he can do is try to spirit guide his way away from it. He goes down, and Space Station Gaming, if they don't get the trade here, they can't do it. Proster keeping everybody away. The entangle going to just completely neutralize Arcadian. Unimportant is trying to get away from it. It does not matter, and Space Station Gaming solidify their spot in the playoffs here for the Battlerite Pro League Season 2.
They will advance to the playoffs for SIGH.
SIGH's not out of it. SIGH's not out of it yet. They have one more round to make. They have one more game. I'm going to say this right. They have one more match to make it happen. They go on to play Atrocity Exhibition. Oh, no. Angry Face.
Yes.
No, Atrocity Exhibition. I'm all confused, man. It's like the loser, the winner, they play each other. I had them mixed up.
The winner of the loser's match plays the loser of the winner's match.
Right.
It's like poetry.
I know. I just mixed it up in my brain. But yeah, no, that was a good response by Space Station after everyone switched roles a little bit, and they still got within. That's the crazy thing, is that game went to game 9 in map 3.
Yeah.
Like, Space Station still almost took it, and then when everyone's playing their respective roles, it just goes to show you how